Hey everybody, what is up and welcome back to the channel. And today I want to talk about radios and communication in general. And the reason why I want to talk about this stuff is because with the way things are going in the world today, things are getting kind of crazy. And whether you use radios for hunting, fishing, just communicating when you're traveling in a car, or emergency situations, radios are a very important lifeline for communication when your cell phone towers and your internet and everything goes out and you still need a way to be able to communicate. Now, before I get into this, I'm going to state right out from the get-go, I am not a radio expert, okay? So I am going to talk about radios in the sense of how I use them and how they work for me and what I know about the radios and what I do with them. I'm not going to be diving into all the things that these radios can do because there's a lot of stuff all these radios can do. I'm not going to tell you which one I think you should get. That's entirely up to you and what your needs are when it comes down to communication. But what I am going to talk about is why I have all these radios and what I do and how I use them, because I actually use a radio every day. And radios are really important, especially, like I said, the world's getting crazy. We don't know what's going to happen here in a few months. I mean, we're already seeing all kinds of craziness stuff happen across campuses, and just the world's getting nuts. And we've already seen power outages with cell phone towers where AT&T and stuff went out, and there's a bunch of people that didn't have service. They just had not too long ago, they just had emergency services knocked out in like 5 or 6 states where they had no emergency services, no contact. There's a lot of cyber stuff going on, and when that goes down, who are you going to call and how are you going to get up with people and who do you need to contact? You know, for me, staying in touch with people that are in my general everyday communications is what is important to me. I don't need to talk to somebody across the world. I need to be able to talk to my wife if she's in town. I need to be able to talk to my friend that I need to get in touch with if things going down. If there's an emergency and the cell phone services aren't working, I need to be able to get in touch with them. And there's a lot of options for this, from the very basic all the way up to some really fancy stuff. And you're going to have to figure out what it is. There's certain radios that actually use what are called repeaters, would give you a longer range to be able to reach out. And there's radios that don't do that. It also depends on where you live and the conditions that you live in, whether you're in the mountains or you're in flatlands. If you got open areas, a lot of radios are line of sight. And what line of sight means is that if you can see it, you can talk to it pretty much. That's the quick abbreviated version, but somebody's gonna comment down below with, oh, that's not true, you know, but it is. Most radios are line of sight, and if you can usually see them, you can talk to them. Now, I've used radios for a lot of things. I used radios in the military. I've used radios when I worked on search and rescue. I've used radios as a guide when I was a hunting guide, fishing guide, a horseback trail guide. I've used radios for all that stuff, so I have a pretty good knowledge of using radios. Like I said, not an expert, but I was the guy that programmed our radios when I was in Iraq fighting in the war in our gun trucks, because I was the one that knew how to do it the quickest and the best. So I do have a concept of how the radios worked. There's a lot of guys out there that are way better and know way more about radios than I do, but in the context that I use them for, I know everything I need to know. So that's enough of that. Let's just get into talking about radios and the differences is there's FRS radios, there's GMRS radios, there's ham radios, there's MURS radios, there's marine radios, there's all kinds of different types of radios depending on, there's airband radios that you can listen to the airplanes over there, and then there's radios that can actually listen to all that stuff, and there's radios that can actually communicate and all that stuff technically. We're not going to get into too much of that because I'm not going to dive into a bunch of technical stuff. I just want to cover communications because, you know, in this day and age, and the way things are going, we may not have cell service. We may not have the internet to communicate, and you still want to be able to reach out and contact people, whether it's your neighbors, your family, your friends, and you want to know how to do that. And I'm going to try to make this as short as possible. I don't want to dive into a bunch of stuff. I basically want to talk about radios. What I have laying out here is I have some FRS radios, I have some GMRS radios, and then I have a couple ham radios. Basically, I'm going to tell you what these radios are. This is what I use them for, and then you guys can kind of figure it out. But I think I just feel like I needed to put this out there and talk about radios because things are getting crazy out there, and if you guys are paying any attention to what's going on and stuff, and you see how things are going and the things that are going on in these cities and stuff, this is going to be very important, I think, sooner than you think. So basically, let's dive into the FRS ones first and stuff. Now, I've been using these Motorolas and these Midlands for a long time for fishing and stuff. They're really great. These are two actually waterproof radios. This one's waterproof. This one's water resistant. This one's kind of waterproof. Um, but two-way radios, as you guys know, are like the blister packs you can buy at Walmart and things like that. But this Motorola, this is the Motorola T465, and I'll show you that radio. And this has been a great radio. I've used this radio and stuff, and it's all scratched up and just from using it. But I've been using this radio for many, many years for going out and fishing. When I go out kayak fishing, I throw this in my kayak and give another radio. Same thing with this one. I throw it and let somebody else use it in their radio and stuff. And these are very simple radios to use and stuff. Just turn them on, put it on the channel you want, turn this one on. These are actually on the same channel. Push the button, say, hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? And there you go. And that's that one reading too, because that one's on the same channel. But very simple. Put it on the channel and go. Now these, depending on your terrain, will depend on the distance you're going to get. Now when I'm on an open lake and stuff and I can get a long range and stuff. And I think I've probably, with both of these, I've probably gone, probably a mile and a half, 2 miles maybe, on bodies of water, things like that. But they're really great for floating the rivers and stuff. Usually about maybe in this kind of area where I live, probably getting about a half a mile out of these through the woods. I can get about a half a mile down the road before I start losing on this because I live in the woods and it's got hills and mountains and stuff, and that's kind of what you get. But if you got more of a line of sight, you'll get better. But if nothing else, pick up a couple of these and put them in there so you got some way to communicate other than your cell phones and stuff. And this is for people that can't afford a whole lot and stuff. These can actually be a lifesaver down the road. I've used these for many different things. They're great radios that you can just hand to somebody if you're out doing something, because they're very easy to use and they're not complicated. They don't have a ton of channels and very easy to use. And the nice thing about these radios is they actually work with GMRS radios and stuff. So if you have a GMRS radio and somebody has an FRS radio, you can put it on the same channel and you guys can talk, which is really nice, which is not what you can do with ham radios technically. And I say technically because there are some ham radios that can actually talk on everything, and we'll talk about that. There's a hated radio out there that basically you can do it on pretty much anything. You're not supposed to. You guys need to check your rules and laws, because when we get into these radios, I'll explain that to you too. But, a good little FRS radio can go a long way. And if it's all you can afford, I mean, it's better than nothing. These are things that you can give to your neighbors, you can give to your kids when they're outside. We use radios on my property every day. So if I'm at one end of the property doing something, my wife's at the other. She can talk to me, I can talk to her. She can let me know what's going on. She just calls me on the radio, and it's a lot quicker than trying to pick up your cell phone, dial the number, and wait for it to ring. It's an instant access, which is really cool. But FRS radios, there's a lot of people that knock them and stuff and say that they're not good. But, I've used FRS radios for a long, long time, and you don't get quite the range that you'd like have, because you'll see like 35 miles and whatever stuff. That's line of sight stuff, and I'm not going to explain all that to you. You can research your radios, but FRS radios are one way to go, and a lot of times you can find a blister pack pretty cheap, like $50 or less and stuff. I think this is like $45 for two of these. So you can't go. These are a little bit more expensive because of the waterproof. I think this 2-pack is like $99. I will put links down below for every radio that I show you guys today on it. But FRS radios, most people know what they are. A lot of people use them in the campgrounds, give them their kids and stuff. And they're pretty basic radios. Now, when you step up to GMRS, we're going to talk about GMRS. That's a whole different ball game. They're GMRS has 22 channels plus 8 repeater channels. I'm not going to explain to you how all that works. The 8 repeater channels are for using repeaters. We'll touch on that a little bit, but I'm not going to really get into it. But you got 22 regular channels. You got 1 through 7, 1 through 8, I can't remember, are high frequency, and then you've got a middle section there that is the FRS frequency, which is low frequency, and then when you get to, I think it's 1 through 7 is high frequency, 8 through 15 low frequency, and then 16 through 22 is back to high frequency, or GMS channels and stuff. I can't remember exactly how it is, but there's a break in there for high and low and stuff. But GMRS also allows you to use repeaters, and a repeater is a tower that's up higher. So say that if I had a repeater set up here at the house and I had a nice big tower on it and stuff, and my wife is in town and I would be able to use that repeater depending on the repeater, the size of the repeater, depending on the power that I'm putting out with the repeater and stuff. I could use my repeater to talk to her in town. Now, depends on how far town is away, because sometimes you can just do what's called direct or simplex, which is being able to talk just radio to radio without using a repeater. And if you're not that far away and there's not a bunch of stuff obstructing you, you could just talk through the radios. And there's plenty of videos out there showing people different distances that you can get with your radios, line of sight. I'm not going to get into all of that. We're just talking about radios in general, and what you need to be looking at and thinking out what's for yourself. Now, for me, GMRS is where it's at for me. GMRS does require a license. You pay, it's $35 now. When I got my GMRS license, it was $70. But you go to the FCC websites, you fill out a form, you pay $35, and then they give you your call sign, and then you're good to go for 10 years. And then you just renew it every 10 years. Ham radio is the same way. Ham radio is a $35 fee, but you have to take a test. You have to study and take a test, and ham radios are a little bit more complicated. I have a couple ham radios, and I use them for listening. I don't use them for talking, but I can listen to the ham station and stuff. So here we got a bunch of GMRS radios aside from these two guys here. These two are actually ham radios, which we're going to set over here, and we'll talk about those later. But we've got a couple baofengs here that we're going to talk about. This is, and just so you know, this is a Midland. I forget what this one, this is the Extra Talk one. Like I said, I will link these down below. But we're going to start here talking about budget-friendly GMRS radios. This one right here is the baofeng, however you want to call it, baofeng. This is the GMRS 9R, UV9R, whatever you want to call it and stuff. I have a flexible antenna on it. And this radio is IP67 waterproof, so I really like that. It's very well made. This is very simple to use. But when you turn this radio on, channel mode, you can hear it say channel mode, and you'll see that there's two, hopefully you guys can see that there's two different channels on there that I have in there and stuff. And that's being able to go back and forth or listen to either channel 4 or 6, whichever I wanted to. You can set these radios to where it only shows one channel if you want to. I like having the two channels on there, but I like this radio because it's very simple. And all the baofeng, whatever you want to call them, radios are very easy to use. This is a very solid, great radio. It has good range. I've been using these on the property. I've been really enjoying these. And it's just a good, solid radio. And the prices for these, I think the set that I bought for these, I think was like, it came with the extra antennas, it came with a handheld mic, and it was like, I think $48 or $58. But like I said, I'll put links down below, and I'll put things up here in the screen as well. But this is a great budget-friendly one that you can get, that's nice and waterproof, good range. You got different types of antennas. I like these floppy antennas. They're really cool. This actually flips out like this. Watch, I'll show you guys. And now you got a big, nice, tall antenna, which gives you more range, which is really nice. And then you can just fold it back into place, which is super cool, if I can get it here. Because the Velcro, undo. All right, come here. It's being difficult. All right. But anyway, we're going to Velcro it back, like so. Let's pull it one more time there, so it's here. There we go. It gets twisted around, and then you gotta, the Velcro, not the antenna. And then you gotta pull it back and link it together like it's supposed to. And then it's back in there, just like that. So this is really great radio. I have 4 of these currently that I really like a lot. I bought 4 of those for the waterproofness of it. Really good reviews on these radios, and they're pretty durable, so I like them a lot. Really good radio. Now, here's another baofeng, whatever you want to call it. This one right here is the GM21. This one actually has a colored screen. It does come with a taller antenna, but I have a stubby on it. The lighting for this, you're not going to be able to see it. The lighting for his out here, I mean, I can see it. It's not terrible in the lighting, but these color screens, sometimes you have to put your hand over to see it, and then you can see your channels. The setup on this is the same way as this. This one's a little bit bigger radio. If you look at it, again, these are all GMRS radios. These radios are just really solid radios. I was testing out a bunch of different ones. This radio, though, is like this radio is only $32. Now it doesn't come with the short stubby antenna. It comes with a longer antenna like this radio has. But I bought a few of the short stubby antennas because around here on the property I don't need the longer antenna, and the short stubby antenna is nicer to have when you're carrying on your belt all day to use it. And I've been testing this radio out. I really like this radio. This radio is also like IP, I think it's 66 rated or something, or 60 something rated. But this is a good solid radio as well. I really like this one. Feels really good in hand. Super solid GMRS radio. $32, and you will get the same range. Just to say, you'll get the same range pretty much out of all these radios and stuff. Depending on your terrain and where you live is going to depend on how far you can talk. So you got to remember that when you're talking about radios. Now, if you have repeaters and you can use repeaters will get you a further distance. So understand that. So you need to do your research to see what radios work for you. I love the GMRS stuff, and with a repeater, I mean, with a repeater, you can get like 60 miles or more, depending on where you're at. You know, if you got a repeater up on a mountain, then you can get a lot farther. Like, you know, if I was on one side of the mountain and my buddy's on the other side of the mountain, we got a repeater on the top, we can talk, because I'll send a signal up to the repeater sends it back to him, and go back and forth. But if we didn't have it, we wouldn't be able to talk unless I was on top of the mountain. If I'm on the top of the mountain, I can look down and see him down. He's down there in the valley below, and I got a great direct line of sight. I'll be able to communicate with him. So when it comes to radios, you just got to figure out what works best for you in your situation. And me, I like GMRS. It's been working great for me for a while now, and I really enjoy it. So let's move on to the next radio. This is the baofeng. This is the GM15 Pro. This is actually the one that my wife is carrying currently right now. This is a great radio. She's got the little stubby antenna on it as well. These radios are really awesome. I actually like this GM15 better than I like the GMRS 9R. And the crazy thing is this one gets better reception inside my house than the GMRS 9R does. So this GM15 is getting better reception just with the stock antenna in there over this big antenna inside my house, which is kind of crazy cool. Out of these three right here, out of these three baofengs, these two get better reception than this one does. So I really like all three of them. I like this one for the waterproofness, but as far as reception inside my house, these two actually get better reception. So now the other thing about these is they're called a homodyne. They're a homodyne circuit. It's a circuit on a chip type radio. Technical stuff, where these radios are super heterodyne radios, which is a whole other thing. I'm not going to get into explaining that to you, but there are a difference in them. These are actually a little bit nicer radios and stuff. But if you guys are looking for a budget, I have 6 of these, and I bought 6 of these with a big charging cradle. And these you can buy in a 2-pack for like $40. I think it's like $42. Or 40, I think $42 or $48 for these. So I think this was $58 for this setup, and I think a 2-pack of these is like $45 or something for a 2-pack of these. And I love these radios. I love this one. I'd say out of these 3 baofengs or whatever you want to call it, I'd say this is probably my favorite one out of these 3. And I like them all, but I'd say these GM15s are my favorites. These all also have the USB-C charging points on it, as well as cradles. So it's nice to have that versatility, because you can plug it up and keep it charging in your vehicle as well. Now let's move on to the wouxun Ocean. It's either wouxun or Ocean, I don't know. It's a big argument with the radio people over there. But I've got 2 wouxun Ocean radios right here. These are super heterodyne radios. We're going to start with the simpler one first. This is actually the KG-S88G. I love this radio. This is out of these right now, this is my favorite out of all these radios. This wouxun Ocean S88G, KG S88G is my favorite. It comes in different colors. I got the tan. I have one coming from my wife that's going to be in gray, and my son wants the orange one. I love this radio. It's very small, compact. I use it with the stock antenna that it comes with. This is very simple. It's only got, if you look right there, you can see it's only got one thing on one channel on there, not 2. You're not dealing with a bunch of stuff. You just turn this knob to change your channels. Very simple, push to talk. Done. It works a lot like this, other than you can use repeaters on this and you can program other channels in it and stuff, but we're not going to get into that. All these radios here, you can program all kinds of different channels in it, weather stations. You can do a lot of different stuff with it, but we're not getting into that. We're just talking about the basics of radios. But if I had to recommend one radio out of this, as far as simple, complex, out of the GMRS pile, it would be this KGS88G. I really like this. Now, I'm going to do individual reviews on all these radios down the road. But this is actually the one I'm currently using, and actually my wife is on the other one. We're going to call her real quick and have her call back so you guys can hear it. Forest Dove, radio check, over. Let's see if you guys can hear her come back.
Bravo baofeng, you are clear.
Copy that. Roger, beep out.
Roger, beep out.
Any of you guys that watch any of these radio videos, you know where I got that from. So put a comment down below if you know where I got the Roger beep out from. Anyway, that lets you kind of hear that. She's actually on this radio right here. She's got one of these that she's talking on. I'm talking to her on this one, and she's way over there somewhere on the property. And she comes in just nice and clear, and that's why we have the radios. She's outside enjoying the day and stuff. That one's on right now currently. Now this one, honestly, if you guys are looking for the shit hits the fan radio, if you're really looking for that radio, this is the wouxun Ocean KG UV9G. And this radio comes pre-programmed with like 800 or 900 emergency frequencies, FBI, you name it, airband, everything you can imagine on there is in this radio. And this radio is currently, I think, I paid $167 for mine, but I think they have it on sale for like $155. This is at what is it? I can't remember what it's called. It's not buy2wayradios.com. It's Better Safe Radio. All right, but this thing, I'll turn this on so you guys can kind of see the screen here. It's gonna be hard to see. This is another one that's got a color screen. It's hard to see in the light, but if you put your hand over it, you can see it just fine. But this thing is a very complicated radio. That's the one thing I'll say about this. It's not terrible to navigate, but there's so much going on in this radio, especially with all the program that they pre-program into it. There's a lot that's going on in this radio. I bought this because this is my SHTF radio that I can monitor everything with, and I do use it and listen to it, and it's crazy all the stuff it can pick up. It's super cool. But if you had to pick one SHTF radio out of all the radios, this would be the one to get, because this one has so much stuff already pre-programmed into it. You don't have to program it. Plus it has the GMRS channels that you need in it, the 22 channels, plus the 8 repeater channels that you can use. And you can program all kinds of other channels and other repeaters in it as well. And this thing is just the end-all be-all radio. They make a couple different versions. They make a is it the UV916, which is a little bit smaller version of this. It doesn't have as much in it. Same size radio, but it's a little bit simpler and stuff. And that's like $100. But I went ahead and got this one because it had all that stuff in it. I didn't have to program it in there. It's already in there. And this is one that you can monitor all kinds of stuff with, because you can use these as scanners as well. I actually have these two are actually programmed with my local frequencies in it, emergency frequencies, so I can just hit the scan button and it'll scan through. And that's what's nice about these GMRS radios. You can actually use them as scanners as well, which is really cool. And all these radios here, not these, but these GMRS radios, you can program in different channels to listen to. They all have couple hundred different channels depending on the radio that you can program in to listen to. So you can actually, some of these radios, depending on how they're set up, you actually can listen to some ham radio stuff on it. You can't transmit, but you can listen to it on it, which is nice. So you just have to research your radios and see which ones work for you. When I first started getting radios, I just wanted to get some radios in hand that were decent. That's why I got the baofengs, and now I'm slowly upgrading to the wouxun Ocean radios, because I really like these radios a lot better. As far as, because they're super heterodynes, they're just really more sensitive, and I really love this one. I love this radio too. It's just very complicated, and I'm a keep it simple stupid guy, so I want to keep it simple. That's why I have these radios, because they're very simple. I love these radios because I can just hand one to my wife. I don't have to explain to her a ton of stuff, and she can just use it, which is really cool. So these are all GMRS radios here. These are the ones that I'm currently using right now, and now we're going to move over here. These are ham radios. Now, let's talk about the most hated ham radio in history, which is the baofeng UV5R. Now, I bought these many, many years ago, And this is a ham radio, and I have a GMRS license. I don't have a ham radio license, so I will get in trouble if I push this button to talk. But I can listen to these. You don't need a license for any of these radios to listen on them. So I use this to listen on. But this is an unlocked radio, and that was why so many people had issues, and the FCC had issues, because this radio, you can listen to any frequencies you want, pretty much. You can program any frequency in here and listen to it, and you can transmit it on it too, on a lot of them. So this one is got a love-hate relationship in the radio community. Me personally, I have it for listening. I think it's great that I can monitor all kinds of different stuff and program it. It's a little bit complicated to use for most people that just want a radio that they want to push to talk, but these things are $20 all day long on the internet. Now, they have a GMRS version, they have a ham version. I've seen some videos where you can unlock that radio, but some of them can be unlocked, some of them can't. These ones that I have, 2 of these, I bought them before they started putting all the restrictions on them, and my 2 are unlocked. But I just monitor on these. These are ones that I listen to because I can listen to the ham frequencies and monitor a whole bunch of stuff on this radio. And so it's a great little one. You can get an extra extended battery, so you can have bigger battery life. But like I said, I just use these for monitoring. I don't use these for talking or doing anything on. And that's why I have these. They were very popular. They're still very popular. But people, they hate these. They'll say these are cheap Chinese junk. Well, I bought these radios in 2016, I think, is when I bought these. End of 2016, beginning of 2017. And they're still working just fine. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, there's good and bad reviews about these radios. A lot of people love these radios. Personally, they've worked great for me ever since I've had them. They're great for monitoring. You can use them as a scanner. That's what I use them for. And really good little radios, in my opinion. They've held up way good. So well, whatever. Ugh, I can't talk. They've held up very, very well. So super cool radio. Now this is also a baofeng, but these are all 5-watt radios. I didn't say that, but these are 5 watts. These are less than 2 watts. These are like a 1 watt, 1.5 watt. This one is a 10 watt ham radio, and this is the baofeng AR-152. This is more of a tactical and military type radio. I've got a mic hooked up to this. And this is more of a military style radio like this. This one is actually unlocked as well, and this one, so you can program all the frequencies you want in here, pretty much. I forget how many it holds, but it holds a lot. I actually have my local emergency frequencies programmed to this one, so I can listen to it there. This is what I use as a monitoring radio. It can also be used as a base station if you want. And this radio you can get for like $69. Unless you want the mic and the kit. If you want the basic radio, just the radio and the antenna, it's like $69. And this thing will run all day. I love this radio. I'm probably going to pick up another one. These come in black, green, and tan. And it's another ham radio that I can use for listening and monitoring and use as a base station if I need to. And it's just a good radio to have. Now, I've seen guys that hate this radio and say it sucks and blah, 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 and whatever. I don't care. I've used it. It works good for me. All these guys that get in these arguments and pissing matches over radios, I could care less. What I care about is, does it work for me? And this radio works for me for what I want to do. The other cool thing about all these radios here, so on an FRS radio, the antennas can't come off. But on a GMRS radio or a ham radio, you can actually take the antennas off. They screw off like this. And what's nice about that is, let me take this one off because this one's actually on and I'm using it. But you can actually take this one off. I can take this antenna off right here, and then if I want to put a stubby on it, I can take this stubby off. I can switch these antennas actually out. Say I want to put this long antenna on this one, then I can add the long antenna here to that radio, and then I can add the stubby to this radio, which is how my wife likes to run hers, is like that, and vice versa. You got to make sure you get the right antenna for the right radios, because the antenna on this one is different. Some are male, some are female, so make sure you know what antenna you're getting when you're using it. But The other nice thing about these radios is that you can turn this radio into a base station. So I could actually have a antenna on my house, a big antenna on my house, and I could run coax down into my house, and I could plug it into this radio, and this could be my base station radio for the house. And that's what's really nice about the GMRS radios or the ham radios, depending on which way you go, is that you have all these options to create radios that can go further distances and stuff. So that's what's really great about these. Being able to use a repeater is really nice with these as well. But like I said, you're going to get pretty much the same distance out of any one of these GMRS radios. It's all line of sight, or if you're using repeater towers. The nice thing about these is it gives you an extra level of being able to program other channels into it. There's all kinds of CTCSS and other tones you can put in there, and I'm not going to get into all that stuff, but there's all kinds of other codes you can put in there to isolate your channels, like a specific channel for you, for your family. Now that's not a security channel, because if somebody's on that, they can still hear you. They just can't talk if you put in that little code. That's a whole nother video. I'm not going to get into that. I don't tend to use the codes. I just use the regular frequencies. But you guys out there really need to start thinking about looking into some other means of communication besides your cell phone. Now, the last thing I want to touch on when it comes to the radios is that I know there's a bunch of people down there. I just made a video not too long ago about rapid radios, and I know people are losing their mind. Rapid radios is a radio that works off the old Nextel technology, the push-to-talk Nextel cell phones and stuff, but it also requires cell phone service and cell phone towers. Now, the company Rapid Radios, and if you guys want to see the whole thing, go watch that video, because they are doing a lot of false advertising, a lot of misleading advertising, and one of the things that they put out there in the video is that when we just recently, not too long ago, had the outages with the cell phone services, they're saying the Rapid radios still worked. Well, they did still work, and the reason why they still worked is because the Rapid radio is able to work on all the cell services, not just one specific one like Verizon or AT&T. They actually can work across the whole service network. So if Verizon's down, Rapid radio still work. If AT&T's down, Rapid radio still work. If Cricket's down, it can work, because it's going to go, say it was working off of a AT&T tower and that goes down, but you still can get service on Verizon, then it's going to work. Just like anybody, like if you have friends, one of you has Verizon, one of you has AT&T, and you guys will be in a certain area and one of you will have service and one of you doesn't, it's the same premise. But the thing about the Rapid radios is they're able to work off of all. They're able to work off of Cricket, off of Verizon, off of AT&T, whatever other services are out there. They're able to use it. Now, is it a good radio, and can you talk, from state to state? You can, as long as the cell phone service is working. And I'm going to reiterate that with those Rapid radios, as long as cell phone service is working, and any cell phone service, like if AT&T is not working in the area but Verizon works, then your Rapid radio will work. If AT&T and Verizon don't work but Cricket works, your Rapid radio will work. But if the cell towers are down and all the services are out, those radios won't work. And it really is chapping my butt that company is actually putting it out there like that's a shit hit the fan radio, because it's not. When all those services go down, that radio won't work. But all these radios will still work. So me personally, I will tell you right now that those Rapid radios, I said it in that video, don't buy that if you think it's going to be a shit hits the fan thing. Now, if you want a cool walkie-talkie thing that you can live in Florida and talk to your buddy in Texas, as long as everything's still functioning, you can make that happen. But here's the other thing you got to remember, and I'll say it again. You still have to have service. And where I live, in this area where I live, there's a lot of places where there's no service, where no services work. No AT&T, no Verizon, no Cricket, none of them work. And so if there's no service, that radio won't work. If you guys live out west, places like Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Utah, places like that, you guys know there's tons of dead spots where nothing works. That means that Rapid radio is not going to work either. So you need to understand that when you guys are looking at those radios, because I see all the hype that's going on with them and people that are pushing them. But remember that it works off the cell towers and works off of cell service. So if there's no cell service, they don't work. All right. And what happened with that outage that we just had, it was AT&T was out and some of Verizon was out and stuff, but other services were still working, and that's why that radio worked. But now they're trying to promote it that that's the radio. It's not. Remember this. It works off of cell towers. If the cell towers don't work and the cell phone service is out, it won't work. So that's really crappy marketing on their part. But anyway, that's my rant of that. You guys should go watch that whole video that I did on rapid radios, because I really deep dived into that to explain it to everybody, because I don't want to see people buying those. My recommendations for anybody that's interested in radios is, if you can and you want to, get your either GMRS or ham license and do that. I highly suggest. The reason why I have this variety is so I can talk across all and have communications across all three. And that's best case scenario. There are other radios called MURS. MURS is like a 5-channel system that's like what Walmart and stuff use. You can look into those as well. But as far as for me, GMRS is what I like to use, and that's what I use on a daily basis, and that's what I've gone with. You got to just kind of pick and choose your poison when it comes to this. Like I said, ham radio, there's a test involved. There's a lot more involved in it. Ham radio is not one of those things that you can just pick up and think you're going to turn on a frequency and talk. It's just not how it works. Where with GMRS, it's already pre-programmed. It's a keep it simple, stupid kind of thing. Turn on the radio, put it on the channel you want, hit the button, start talking. Very simple. So that's just kind of the basics with radios when it comes to things. I wanted to give you guys just an overview of what to look for, what you should be looking at and stuff, and decide what you want to do. There's a lot of people that have their GMRS license and ham license. I may eventually get my ham license. I've looked into it. There's a lot of people. There's diehard GMRS or diehard ham people. There's a lot of back and forth of what's better, what's the best. Well, the bottom line is it's what's best for you. For me, my plan is to get my GMRS repeater set up and try to get a 30 to 60 mile buffer zone, because basically I look at that as my area operations, and if I can get my repeater up and I can talk within a 30-mile range of what I move around in every day, that 30 to 60 miles, that's what I'm looking at doing. The one thing about it is there's not as many GMRS repeaters as there are ham repeaters, but hopefully as this stuff progresses, more people will put things up. They make portable GMRS repeaters and portable ham repeaters as well. I'm actually going to start off with one of the portable ones. They're like 10 watts, but I've seen those being able to reach, like I've watched guys doing videos where they're reaching 20, 30 miles with the portable repeater. And I'm hoping I can get, where I live right now, to be able to reach into town. It's not far from me. So if I can get that portable repeater up and reach like 10 miles away, it's going to be gold. If I can get 15, I saw a guy that's getting 15 to 20 in his area with buildings and stuff. So there's a lot of options out there. But I just want to put it in you guys' head that you need to be thinking about it now, because things are changing. And you really need to be looking at some other communications besides just your cell phone. And these are the things that I'm using across the board. Like I said, I've got FRS, I've got GMRS, and I've got some ham. It allows me to have multiple ways to listen, communicate, and do things. And I would definitely just look into radios, do some research on your own. I will recommend a couple channels for you guys, and I will put their links to their channels down below. One of them I recommend for GMRS is Not a Rubicon. Guy's name is Randy. His channel's hilarious. I love him. A lot of great information there. I also recommend, it's called Ham Radio Crash Course. And that guy, I can't remember his name, but he has a great channel, and he explains ham in a way that you can sort of understand it. And then another guy that I've been watching is Ham Radio 2.0. His channel's pretty decent as well. And those are the three kind of main ones that I kind of watch when it comes to the radio stuff in general, because they're, as far as ham goes, people go down such rabbit holes. The only two that I can really understand is Ham Radio Crash Course and Ham Radio 2.0. As far as GMRS, I just watch Randy. He's got it covered. He's like me, keep it simple, stupid. Not a Rubicon. So I will link those down below. I'll put links to all these radios down below so you guys can check those out and stuff. So hopefully this kind of helps you guys kind of think about the radio thing. I know this is a little bit longer than I wanted to be. There's so much information to cover, and I didn't even touch base on it, but I really just want to try to help you guys out that are out there. These radios work great if you're fishing, hunting. These are great ways to communicate, doing any of that stuff. The really cool thing about the GMRS is you could get a portable GMRS repeater, and then you guys can go out in the woods and camp or set up a hunting camp, put that repeater up, and then you guys will have a huge range for your hunting area. So there's a lot of things to look into. I always take radios with me when I go fishing. I always, even when I go by myself, I leave a radio in the truck and I have a radio with me. And that way, if somebody has to come look for me, they know that there's a radio in my truck and they can get that radio and it's on the frequency that I'm on, and they can contact me if they need to, if they can't get a hold of me through my phone. There's a lot of places I fish where my cell phone doesn't work. So anyway, just want to put it in you guys' head. I don't know if this was the greatest video or not to help you get started. I just wanted to cover some stuff. Quick on prices and stuff. This is, I think, $58 for the combo, for the single complete set with the microphone and everything, extra antennas. This one is $32. These were like 45 or $48 for a set. That's a set of two with two different antennas on it. This one is currently at $155. I paid $167 for it. These are $139.99 for this one. These baofengs are like $20. These ones run anywhere, if you wanted this setup just like this, will run you about $119. If you wanted just the radio with the rubber ducky antenna on it, it's like $69. I think they're on sale for like $62 right now. This is a 2-pack set that comes for $99, and these are about $45. Lots of different options. Me personally, I like, when it comes to budget radios, the baofengs are some of the best budget radios, bang for the buck, because you can get 2-packs for real cheap and get 2 radios that you just start communicating right out of the box, which is really nice. And they have programmable channels, and you can use them as scanners. There's a lot of different things depending on the radio that you buy. But anyway, I hope that helped you guys out. Definitely check out some of these radios. Go watch some videos. Like I said, if you guys want to leave comments down below and say, hey, you want to see a review on a certain radio that I have laid out here, then leave the comment down below and tell me what you think. And for all you guys, the experts and stuff, you don't need to come in and throw all the technical stuff in my comments, because that's not for this channel. This is just a brief overview of radios, talking to people about getting in there, finding a radio communication that works for them, and starting to learn that and find the radios that can work for them. And these are the ones that I'm using. These all work for me. I have no problems with them. Every one of these, the cool thing about all the radios I have right here, every one of these radios will communicate with each other. Every one of these radios that I have laying out here right now can all talk to each other. Now, technically, you're not supposed to be using these 2 radios to talk to these radios, but because these radios are not locked, they're able to communicate with these radios. And the only thing I'm going to say about that is, when the world does go to crap, nobody's going to care what license you have. If you have a radio and you can communicate with the other one, then use it. So you guys can go read the laws and rules that the FCC has for all these radios. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to explain to it. Like I said, I have my GMRS license, so I'm able to use all my GMRS radios, and I use the ham radios for listening. I do not use them for transmitting, although I do know that they do pick up my transmitting, because I can be talking on these radios and have these on, and I can hear myself going on there, and these will transmit back because they're unlocked. So that's a whole nother video. So anyway, I hope this helps you guys out. I hope you guys like this video. You guys know what to do. I shouldn't have to tell you what to do. That helps out the channel. And we'll see you guys on the next one.